Good day, students, and welcome back to Coolsears Art School's online class. Today, we will be learning about science for primary 6. But before we start, I would like to introduce myself again. Hi, I am teacher Layla. In today's topic, we will be continuing our lesson about nutrition and digestion. But before we start, I would like you to grab your Inside Out Science 6 book and turn it to pages 15 to 25. Again, grab your Inside Out Science 6 book and turn it to pages 15 to 25. Do you already have your books with you? Okay, so what are the things that we are going to learn in today's video? For the first part of this video, we are going to learn what are food additives. Under this one, we are going to learn food colorings, food flavorings, and preservatives. On the part 2 of this video, we are going to learn how do we digest the food we eat. Under this, we are going to learn digestive system. And on the third part of this video, we are going to learn how do we keep our digestive system healthy. Now that I have already given you the overview of our topic, in the next slide, I have prepared there a video about additives. I want you to listen carefully and we will discuss the content of the video right after.
Maintaining a healthy, sustainable diet relies on access to a variety of different foods. It's important to consider the origin, quality, and safety of what we eat. Sometimes we want to have tomato sauce in winter, eat a ready meal after a long day at work, or try a yogurt with a surprising texture. For that, we need the help of food additives. Food additives usually don't have a nutritional value, but they are added to food in small amounts to serve a specific function. Some, like preservatives, stop bacteria or mold from spoiling our food so that it lasts longer. Colours are used to make our food look more appealing. Emulsifiers allow water and oils to remain mixed together in an emulsion. For example, in mayonnaise. Food additives can be invented by scientists or inspired by nature. For example, lemons naturally contain an antioxidant called ascorbic acid, also known as vitamin C. When added to foods such as fruit juice, jam, or canned vegetables, it helps preserve taste and colour and allows the food to stay edible for longer. Since it's used in large quantities by food producers, we must synthesize it. From a lemon or from a lab, it's the same molecule. Every food additive that we find on our plate has been thoroughly tested and approved by EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority. The safety of each additive is regularly reviewed based on the latest science. There are rules on how each additive can be used. They specify the type of products and the quantities that are safe for humans. A small number of additives have been linked to negative health effects in sensitive individuals. For example, colours in hyperactivity or intolerance to sulfites in wine. All approved food additives are assigned an E number. You can find the E number or name of the additive along with its functions on your food packaging. Be curious. Check your food's label.
So the video discussed about food additives. Now let us discuss the content of the video. Let us define what is a food additive. A food additive are substances added to food to preserve, flavor, enhance its taste, appearance, or other qualities of a food. Now, there are three classifications of food additives. The first one is food colorings. Food colorings is any dye, pigment, or substance that imparts color when it is added to food or drink. Now, I have a question. Have you seen a food coloring before? On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see there an example of a food coloring. Food colorings are usually added in cakes, icings, candies, and juices to give them a vibrant color. Now, originally, these cakes are just white in color. Now, in order for pastry chefs to make it more appealing to other people, they will add in colors, okay, just like red or pink or orange or green, okay? So that is the main function of a food coloring. Now, the second type of food additive is the food flavorings. Now, what is a food flavoring? Food flavorings are added to make food taste better. They are usually represented by a mixture of spices, herbs, taste components, and colors. Okay, now let's have an example for food colorings, or when is food coloring used. Okay, now you know that we have vanilla flavored ice cream and vanilla flavored cakes, right? Now usually this vanilla can be blonde. Now in order for us to enhance the flavor of vanilla in a cake, we will add vanilla essence or vanilla extract. Now we have another example, a banana. A banana is a very mild tasting fruit. You can barely actually taste it whenever you add it to desserts. Now, in order for you to enhance the flavor of banana, we will usually add banana extract so that we can taste or smell the aroma of a banana better. Now, we have here another example of a food flavoring. Monosodium glutamate, or MSG, is found in instant noodles, which gives it a salty taste. Now, MSG is commonly used here in Thailand. It gives food the salty taste and the umami flavor. Now, we have here another example, which is the aspartame. Aspartame is found in soft drinks, which makes it 200 times more sweet than sugar. Now, in our household, we usually use sugar to give food sweetness or to add a bit of sweetness in our food. But in soft drinks, manufacturers actually use this aspartame because it is 200 times more sweet than that of a regular table sugar. Now, we have here example of herbs and spices. This include anise, which is this one, a peppercorn, which we use every day. Now, we have here a bay leaf, which is common here in Thailand as well. We have a rosemary to season our meat. We have here basil, which is commonly found in your pad kapaw. We have their cloves. We have there what I've mentioned before, a vanilla, and of course, salt. Now, on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see there the MSG. Okay, so this is what MSG looks like. They are, or it is a fine granulated white in color. Okay, now the third type of food additive is preservative. Now, what is preservative? Preservatives is a substance or a chemical that is added to products such as food products, beverages, pharmaceutical drugs, paints, biological samples, cosmetics, wood, or many other products to prevent decomposition by microbial growth from bacteria and fungi, or by undesirable chemical changes. So take note that preservatives is not only added to food, but it is also added to other substances just like makeup and paints. Now, in the video, it was mentioned there that a food is usually spoiled, or a food usually expires because of the growth of microbial organisms just like bacteria and fungi. And preservative is a substance that delays the process of spoilage or expiration among the other products. Okay, so that is the reason why preservatives is used. It just prolongs the shelf life of products, just like your foods, your makeup, your paints, and other stuffs. Okay, so that is preservative. Now we have here the two types of preservative. We have the first one, which is the natural preservative, and the chemical preservatives. Now, under natural preservatives, we have there the salt. Okay, salt is used to preserve foods. In the old age or before you were even born, large amount of salt is actually used to preserve meats, because then people still didn't had a refrigerator to keep their meats fresh. Now, in order for the meat to be fresh, or for them to like keep them longer, our ancestor used salt to preserve the meat. Okay, now another type of natural preservative is the sugar and the citric acid from citrus fruits, just like your lemon, your kumquat, your lime, and others. Okay, so these are example of natural preservatives. Again, when we say natural preservatives, this can be found in nature. This is not laboratory produced. Okay, example is the salt, sugar, and citric acid from citrus fruits. Now, the second type of preservative is what we call the chemical preservative. Unlike natural preservative, chemical preservatives is produced by humans. So basically, this is a man-made, okay? Now, an example of a chemical preservative is a sulfur dioxide, which can be used to preserve dried fruits. And another example of a chemical preservative is the nitrites, which is used to preserve your hams and your sausages, okay? So these are the three types of additives. Again, let us recall, the first one is food colorings. It is used for cakes, icings, and other pastry product to give it a vibrant color or to enhance its appearance. Now, the second type of a food additive is the food flavorings. Food flavorings are usually added to enhance the taste or the smell of food products. An example of this one includes your MSG or monosodium glutamate and the aspartame, okay? And the third type of a food additive is your preservatives. Preservatives are used to prolong the shelf life of products and other beverages and pharmaceutical drugs as well. Under preservatives, we have the two types, okay? The natural and the chemical preservatives. When we say natural preservatives, this is naturally occurring. Example is salt, sugar, and citric acid from citrus plants. And the second type is the chemical preservatives. When we say chemical preservatives, again, this is man-made or laboratory produced. An example of this one is, as you can see in the picture, a sulfur dioxide, which is used to preserve dried fruits. And the second one is the nitrates or the nitrites, which is used to preserve your hams and your sausages. Okay, so that is it for the first part of this video. Now, I have here another video which will explain why are additives bad for you. Now, I want you to listen to the video carefully, okay, and understand what are the harmful effects of these additives for human, okay? Enjoy watching.
Food doesn't last. In days, sometimes hours, bread goes moldy, apple slices turn brown, and bacteria multiply in mayonnaise. But you can find all of these foods out on the shelf at the grocery store, hopefully unspoiled, thanks to preservatives. But what exactly are preservatives? How do they help keep food edible? And are they safe? There are two major factors that cause food to go bad: microbes and oxidation. Microbes like bacteria and fungi invade food and feed off its nutrients. Some of these can cause diseases like listeria and botulism. Others just turn edibles into a smelly, slimy, moldy mess. Meanwhile, oxidation is a chemical change in the food's molecules, caused by enzymes or free radicals, which turn fats rancid and brown produce like apples and potatoes. Preservatives can prevent both types of deterioration. Before the invention of artificial refrigeration, fungi and bacteria could run rampant in food. So we found ways to create an inhospitable environment for microbes. For example, making the food more acidic unravels enzymes that microbes need to survive. And some types of bacteria can actually help. For thousands of years, people preserved food using bacteria that produce lactic acid. The acid turns perishable vegetables and milk into longer-lasting foods like sauerkraut in Europe, kimchi in Korea, and yogurt in the Middle East. These cultured foods also populate your digestive tract with beneficial microbes. Many synthetic preservatives are also acids: benzoic acid in salad dressing, sorbic acid in cheese, and propionic acid in baked goods. Are they safe? Some studies suggest that benzoates related to benzoic acid contribute to hyperactive behavior, but the results aren't conclusive. Otherwise, these acids seem to be perfectly safe. Another antimicrobial strategy is to add a lot of sugar, like in jam, or salt, like in salted meats. Sugar and salt hold on to water that microbes need to grow, and actually suck moisture out of any cells that may be hanging around, thus destroying them. Of course, too much sugar and salt can increase your risk of heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure. So these preservatives are best in moderation. Antimicrobial nitrates and nitrites, often found in cured meats, ward off the bacteria that cause botulism, but they may cause other health problems. Some studies linking cured meats to cancer have suggested that these preservatives may be the culprit. Meanwhile, antioxidant preservatives prevent the chemical changes that can give food an off flavor or color. Smoke has been used to preserve food for millennia because some of the aromatic compounds in wood smoke are antioxidants. Combining smoking with salting was an effective way of preserving meat before refrigeration. For antioxidant activity without a smoky flavor, there are compounds like BHT and tocopherol, better known as vitamin E. Like the compounds in smoke, these sop up free radicals and stave off rancid flavors that can develop in foods like oils, cheese, and cereal. Other antioxidants like citric acid and ascorbic acid help cut produce keep its color by thwarting the enzyme that causes browning. Some compounds like sulfites can multitask. They're both antimicrobials and antioxidants. Sulfites may cause allergy symptoms in some people, but most antioxidant preservatives are generally recognized as safe. So should you be worried about preservatives? Well, they're usually near the end of the ingredients list because they're used in very small amounts, determined by the FDA to be safe. Nevertheless, some consumers and companies are trying to find alternatives. Packaging tricks, like reducing the oxygen around the food, can help, but without some kind of chemical assistance, there are very few foods that can stay shelf-stable for long.
So the video better explained our topic about food additives. Now let us answer the question, are preservatives bad for you? Some artificial preservatives such as nitrites or nitrates are used in processed meats. That's why I've mentioned a while ago. Nitrites and nitrates are found in your hams and sausages. Now, it have been shown to be bad for our health. Consuming these preservatives has been shown to increase our risk of colon cancer and should be limited in our diet. So the answer is preservatives can be bad for you if you consume them in large amounts. Now, in order for these preservatives to be safe for you, you should take it in moderation, or anything in moderation or in small amounts will be just fine, okay? Now, let's proceed to part 2 of our discussion, which is about how do we digest the food we eat. Under this, we will study the digestive system. But first, let us answer this one. How do we digest the food we eat? Carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in food are too big to be used by the body. So remember, in our first part or the first part of our discussion, we've discussed there the 6 type of nutrients, namely the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, the water, the minerals, and the vitamins. Now, these 3, the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats in food, are too big to be used by the body. Now, how does the body consume these nutrients? Okay? Digestion is the breakdown of large insoluble food molecules into small water-soluble food molecules so they can be absorbed by the body. Now, in order for the body to absorb these carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, they undergo the process called digestion, wherein they break down from large insoluble food molecules into small water-soluble molecules. Now, digestive nutrients can be used by the body to produce energy or to grow and repair parts of the body. And we have there water, vitamins, and minerals. So we've said that carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are too big for the body to absorb. Now they undergo digestion in order for them to be utilized. But water, vitamins, and minerals do not need to be digested and can be easily absorbed by the body because they are already in their liquid form. Now, how does digestion process, or what is the digestion process? Okay, so digestion starts from a solid loaf of bread, as we have here in the example, and this loaf of bread is broken down into smaller pieces, just like what we see in here, the cube of bread, and after which this cube of bread will turn into liquid molecules which can be easily absorbed by our body. Okay, so that is how we absorb or digest the food we eat. Okay, now let us study the digestive system. What is the digestive system? Do you have any idea on what is the digestive system, or at least give me one organ in the digestive system? Okay, so a digestive system of a human is a body, or a digestive system of a human body is a group of organs that work together to break down food and to remove undigested food. So that is the main function of the digestive system, to break down food and to remove undigested food in our body. Now take note this line as well, a group of organs. Now, in order for us to build a system in our body, it must be composed of more than one organ. We cannot consider it as a system if there is only one organ in our body. It must contain more than one. Now, as you can see here in the picture, we have there 10 organs, or 10 main organs in the digestive system, and we will study them one by one. Okay, now let's proceed. We have there the first part, which is the mouth. The second part is the esophagus. The third organ is the stomach. The fourth organ is the liver. The fifth one is the gallbladder. The sixth one is the pancreas. The seventh one is the small intestine. The eighth one is the large intestine. The ninth one is the rectum. And the last organ in the digestive system is the anus. Okay, now let's discuss them one by one. Okay? The first organ in the digestive system, or the human digestive system, is the mouth. Now, what is the mouth? Digestion begins in the mouth. Food is mixed with saliva. Saliva contains an enzyme that digests starch into glucose or to sugar. Now, the liquid that you can feel inside your mouth is actually what we call the saliva. This saliva contains an enzyme that digests starch into glucose or table sugar. or into sugar. Sorry, not table sugar, okay? Now we have there the feet, which grinds the food into small pieces. Now the main function of a teeth is actually grind the food that we eat. Imagine if you're already old and you don't have feet anymore. What will help you grind your food, okay? So that's why feet is a very important part in our mouth, okay? Because it helps us grind the food into smaller pieces. It's like scissors or knives that grinds or makes the food or cuts the food into smaller pieces. Now, the second one is the tongue. The tongue helps mix food with saliva. It also helps push the food into the esophagus. Okay, so that is the mouth, the first organ in our digestive system. Okay, now the second one is the esophagus or esophagus. Okay, so both of these spelling are correct. The first one is just the American spelling and the second one is the British spelling. Either way, these two spelling are correct. Okay, the esophagus is a long muscular tube that pushes the chewed food from the mouth down to the stomach. Okay, so this esophagus is a long tube that connects the mouth through the stomach, and this is where food actually travels, as you can see there in the picture. Okay, that is the esophagus. Now the third part or the third organ in our digestive system is the stomach. Now, what is a stomach? The stomach is this one right here. Okay, as you can see in the picture, that is the stomach. The stomach is a muscular organ located on the left side of the upper abdomen. Okay, so if you will look at your body and you will study it, where is your stomach? Again, it is on the upper left side. Okay, so it is in here. Okay, left side, upper left side of your abdomen. Okay, this is where your stomach is located. The stomach muscles helps mix the food with gastric juice and stomach acid. Food stays in the stomach for about 3 to 4 hours before entering the small intestine. I want you to take note of this statement that the food stays in the stomach for 3 to 4 hours before it goes to your small intestines. So let's say, for example, you ate at 6 a.m. today. Now, the food will stay at your stomach for until 9 to 10 a.m. this morning, and then it will proceed back to your small intestine. Now, what is the third organ? Okay, let's proceed with our fun fact first. Okay. So under our fun fact, did you know that ruminants like cow, goat, and sheep has 4 stomach, namely your rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum. So imagine if a person actually has 4 stomach. How would it be possible? Okay. Now, each compartment has different functions in digestion. Ruminants have what we call a compound digestive system. So next time you see a cow, a goat, or a sheep, you know already that these animals have 4 stomach, namely the rumen, reticulum, omasum, and abomasum. And they have what we call the compound stomach, okay, or compound digestive system. Okay, that's just for our fact. Okay, now let's proceed. Gastric juices or stomach acid. So we've mentioned in the stomach that the stomach actually produces this gastric juices and stomach acid. What are these? These are fluid comprising a mixture of substances including pepsin and hydrochloric acid. So the 2 gastric juices or stomach acid that is produced in our stomach is called pepsin and hydrochloric acid. It is secreted by the glands of the stomach. Now, what are the function of this one? Gastric juices contains enzymes that digest proteins, and it also kills germs in the food. Okay, so these are the 2 types of gastric juices or stomach acid that is produced It is pepsin and hydrochloric acid, and they are important because they contain enzymes that digest proteins and it kills germs in the food, okay? Now, the next organ in the digestive system that we are going to discuss is the liver. Now, what is the function of a liver? Now, in the picture, you can see there that this red muscular organ in here is the liver. Now, the main job of a liver is to filter the blood coming from the digestive tract before passing it to the rest of the body. Furthermore, the function of the liver is to produce a bile, which is a greenish yellow fluid that breaks up fats into small droplets and helps speed up digestion. We will discuss bile later, okay? And the next function of a liver is it stores vitamins A, B, and D, as well as minerals such as iron. And lastly, the last function of a liver is it turns toxins into harmless substances, okay? So imagine that the liver is like a sieve that actually filters the blood that is running into your system. Without the liver, there will no be filter that will filter the harmful or the toxin chemicals or substances in your body, okay? That's why liver is a very important organ in our system, okay? And we've mentioned there that it produces bile, okay? A bile is this one, okay? A bile is a bitter tasting, greenish yellow alkaline fluid produced by the liver from dead red blood cells, okay? So a bile is a greenish yellowish in color and it is bitter tasting and it is from the dead red blood cells and stored in the gallbladder. Okay, so this bile is stored in our gallbladder and secreted into the duodenum of vertebrates. Another definition of a bile is that it is a fluid that breaks up fats into small droplets and helps speed up digestion. Now, as you can see in the picture, that is an example of a bile. Those greenish yellowish fluid in there are the example of a bile, okay? Now, remember that a bile is stored in our gallbladder, okay? Now, we have here another fact. Did you know that bile is mixed in some food like the soup dish pinapaitan from the Philippines? So as you all know, Teacher Leila is from the Philippines and we have there a food called pinapaitan which actually incorporates this bile, okay, in order to make the pinapaitan soup. Pinapaitan translates to bile and innard stew. Now, to give you an idea, a bile and innard stew is actually a bit bitter because of the bile that we incorporate in it, okay? Now, let's proceed, okay, to the next organ in the digestive system. That is the gallbladder. Now, what is a gallbladder? If you will look at the picture, the gallbladder is a pear-shaped hollow structure located under the liver and on the right side of the abdomen. As you can see in there, the green one in there is the gallbladder. The main function of a gallbladder is to store bile, okay? Now, the bile again is a greenish yellowish alkaline fluid, okay, that is stored in the gallbladder. Now, we also have there the bile duct, okay? The bile duct is a tube that carries bile from the gallbladder to the stomach, okay? The bile duct is what connects the tube and carries the bile from the gallbladder to the stomach. But I have another fact right here. Did you know that not all animals contain gallbladder? Now, the next organ that we are going to discuss is the pancreas. And if you will look at the picture, you can see there pointed pancreas, which is the yellowish organ. Now, what is a pancreas? Can you pronounce it pancreas. Pancreas, okay? It is pronounced as pancreas. Now, what is a pancreas? Pancreas produces pancreatic juice, which contains a mixture of enzymes that digest carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Pancreas also helps your digestive system by making hormone. So these are the two functions of a pancreas. It produces pancreatic juice, which helps in the digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and it also helps in making the hormones, okay? Now, what is the next organ in the digestive system? It is the small intestine. What are the two functions of the small intestine? You can see here in the picture, the small intestine. The small intestine breaks down food using enzymes made in your pancreas and bile from your liver. Okay, so remember we've mentioned the different juices that our digestive system produces. The first one comes from the stomach, which is the pepsin and the hydrochloric acid, and these two are called your gastric juices. And we have now the pancreatic juice, which is produced by your pancreas, okay? So the small intestine breaks down food using the enzymes made in your pancreas and bile from your liver, okay? And the next one is that it absorbs vitamins and minerals from the blood. Now, we have the three parts of the small intestine. They are namely the duodenum, which connects to the stomach. It is the shortest part and where the preparation for absorption begins. As you can see in here, right after your stomach, it is your duodenum. Okay, it is the shortest and the largest part of your small intestine. Now we have the second one, which is the jejunum. Now the jejunum is the central of the three division of the small intestine that lies between the duodenum and the ileum. So out of these three parts, the jejunum is the longest part. And we have the ileum. What is the ileum? The ileum is the third part which attaches to the colon. So if the duodenum attaches to the stomach, the ileum attaches to the colon, okay? Now, we have here fun fact. Did you know that the small intestine is about 3 times the length of your body? The longest part of the digestive tract. Okay, so the small system is the longest part of the digestive tract. And if you will stretch your small intestine, it is 3 times as long as your body. When you eat food, it's held in your small intestine for up to 4 hours. So remember, we said that the food stays in your stomach for 3 to 4 hours before it goes into your small intestine. And after the food proceeds to your small intestine, it takes there 4 hours. Now, why does it take so long for your food to stay in your small intestine? Because your body absorbs 90% of our nutrients through the small intestine into your blood. So most of the absorption of nutrients takes place in your small intestine, okay? Now let's proceed. The next organ in your digestive system that we're going to discuss is the large intestine. Large intestine is also known as a colon. Now, if you heard colon, it automatically means the large intestine, okay? What are the different functions of this large intestine? It absorbs water and minerals from undigested food, okay? So, we've already discussed the small intestine. The small intestine is the blue part in this picture, and the large intestine or the colon is the reddish pink part in the picture. Now, the different function of large intestine includes it absorbs water and minerals from undigested food. So we've mentioned that 90% of the nutrient absorption takes place in your small intestine. Now, whatever is left undigested from your small intestine will be digested in your large intestine. Furthermore, the large intestine also produces and absorbs vitamins. The colon houses trillions of bacteria that protect our gut and produce vitamins like vitamin B, K, and biotin. Okay, so again, your colon or your large intestine has trillions of bacteria and it produces vitamin B, K, and biotin. Okay, and furthermore, the last function of a colon is that it propels feces towards the rectum for elimination. Okay, now what is the rectum? The rectum is this part right here, as you can see in the picture, right after the large intestine or the colon is your rectum. The rectum stores the undigested food that hardens and becomes feces. You all know what feces is. It is the matter that we actually excrete from our body when we poop. Okay, so that is feces. And this feces is stored in our rectum. So take note of that. The rectum is the organ in the digestive system that stores our feces. Okay? The average length of human rectum may range from 10 and 15 centimeters. Its diameter can be compared to that of the sigmoid colon. Remember that the rectum stores your feces and it is as big as your sigmoid colon. Okay, so it is a thick organ that holds or stores your feces. Now, the last organ in our digestive system is so this is the rectum. The last organ in our digestive system is the anus. Okay, so this is the anus. Right after the rectum, you can find there your anus. What is anus? Anus is the opening where the gastrointestinal tract ends and exceeds the body. The anus starts at the bottom of the rectum. An anorectal line, which is this one, separates the anus from the rectum. As you can see there, the red arrow pointing the anorectal line. This is what separates the rectum from the anus. Again, the anus is the last organ in our digestive system, and this is where feces actually, like the passageway of feces to the outside of our body. Okay? Now, I have here another video which will give you or which will explain or summarize what we have learned about the digestive system. Again, I want you to listen carefully and take note of everything that is mentioned in here, okay?
Across the whole planet, humans eat on average between 1 and 2.7 kilograms of food a day. That's over 365 kilograms a year per person, and more than 28,800 kilograms over the course of a lifetime. And every last scrap makes its way through the digestive system. Comprised of 10 organs, covering 9 meters, and containing over 20 specialized cell types, this is one of the most diverse and complicated systems in the human body. Its parts continuously work in unison to fulfill a singular task, transforming the raw materials of your food into the nutrients and energy that keep you alive. Spanning the entire length of your torso, the digestive system has 4 main components. First, there's the gastrointestinal tract, a twisting channel that transports your food and has an internal surface area of between 30 and 40 square meters, enough to cover half a badminton court. Second, there's the pancreas, gallbladder, and liver, a trio of organs that break down food using an array of special juices. Third, the body's enzymes, hormones, nerves, and blood all work together to break down food, modulate the digestive process, and deliver its final products. Finally, there's the mesentery, a large stretch of tissue that supports and positions all your digestive organs in the abdomen, enabling them to do their jobs. The digestive process begins before food even hits your tongue. Anticipating a tasty morsel, glands in your mouth start to pump out saliva. We produce about 1.5 liters of this liquid each day. Once inside your mouth, chewing combines with the sloshing saliva to turn food into a moist lump called the bolus. Enzymes present in the saliva break down any starch. Then your food finds itself at the rim of a 25 centimeter long tube called the esophagus, down which it must plunge to reach the stomach. Nerves in the surrounding esophageal tissue sense the bolus's presence and trigger peristalsis, a series of defined muscular contractions. That propels the food into the stomach, where it's left at the mercy of the muscular stomach walls, which pound the bolus, breaking it into chunks. Hormones secreted by cells in the lining trigger the release of acids and enzyme-rich juices from the stomach wall that start to dissolve the food and break down its proteins. These hormones also alert the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder to produce digestive juices and transfer bile, a yellowish-green liquid that digests fat, in preparation for the next stage. After 3 hours inside the stomach, the once shapely bolus is now a frothy liquid called chyme, and it's ready to move into the small intestine. The liver sends bile to the gallbladder, which secretes it into the first portion of the small intestine, called the duodenum. Here, it dissolves the fats floating in the slurry of chyme so they can be easily digested by the pancreatic and intestinal juices that have leached onto the scene. These enzyme-rich juices break the fat molecules down into fatty acids and glycerol for easier absorption into the body. The enzymes also carry out the final deconstruction of proteins into amino acids and carbohydrates into glucose. This happens in the small intestine's lower regions, the jejunum and ileum, which are coated in millions of tiny projections called villi. These create a huge surface area to maximize molecule absorption and transference into the bloodstream. The blood takes them on the final leg of their journey to feed the body's organs and tissues. But it's not over quite yet. Leftover fiber, water, and dead cells sloughed off during digestion make it into the large intestine, also known as the colon. The body drains out most of the remaining fluid through the intestinal wall. What's left is a soft mass called stool. The colon squeezes this byproduct into a pouch called the rectum, where nerves sense it expanding and tell the body when it's time to expel the waste. The byproducts of digestion exit through the anus, and the food's long journey, typically lasting between 30 and 40 hours, is finally complete.
Now let's proceed for your science experiment. Now we will do an edible candy coating. But since we are still doing an online class and we cannot do it in a classroom setting, what I want you to do is to click the link down below and it will lead you to the YouTube video. I want you to watch it for you to have an understanding about the experiment. And once you come back to school, we will do it all together, okay? Now, for the last part of this lesson, we are going to discuss how do we keep our digestive system healthy. So, we've already discussed the digestive system and all the organs that is included in it. Now, what are the things that we could do to keep it healthy? The digestive system helps our body take in nutrients from the food we eat. We need these nutrients to stay alive and grow well. So, it is important to take care of our digestive system so it can work properly. Now, the first thing that we can do to keep our digestive system healthy is to wash our hands. Why? Germs can harm our digestive system. Before we eat, we should wash our hands with soap and water to get rid of the germs on our hands. Okay, so take note. One way in order to keep your digestive system healthy is to wash your hands with soap and water. This is also very timely right now because we are experiencing the COVID-19. So it is important to always keep yourself clean, especially before you eat, okay? Second thing that we can do to keep our digestive healthy is to cook our food fully. Why? Cooking helps kill germs in the food. We should make sure that the meat is fully cooked before we eat it. We should also wash fruits and vegetables before eating. Now, we should make it a habit to cook our foods fully before we eat it. Don't eat it raw unless it is fresh. And also wash the fruits and vegetables that you eat because you don't know what are the surfaces it had contact with, okay? Next thing that we can do to keep our digestive system healthy is to chew our food more. When we chew our food more, the food is broken down into smaller pieces. This allows nutrients in the food we eat to be more easily digested and absorbed by our bodies. Now, the last thing that we can do in order to keep our digestive system healthy is to exercise regularly. Why? Regular physical activity helps prevent constipation. So we studied about constipation before. When we say constipation again, it is having less than 3 bowel movements per week. We should have at least 30 minutes of exercise every week, okay? So this concludes our discussion about nutrition and digestion. Now, let us proceed to your activity. For your activity, I want you to grab your yellow book and write there activity 3. Write there your name, your class number, the date today, and leave a space for your score because we will check it during our Zoom meeting. I want you to number your papers 1 to 10. Now, for your activity, we have their directions, multiple choice. Write the question and the choices and circle the letter of the best answer. Again, multiple choice. Write the question and the choices and circle the letter of the correct answer. I want to see their circle and not X, okay? Write the question and as well as the choices. So for number 1, we have their blank or substances added to food to preserve, flavor or enhance its taste, appearance, or other qualities. Again, let me repeat. Blank or substances added to food to preserve, flavor, or enhance its taste, appearance, or other qualities. Is it letter A, food additives, letter B, food preservatives, letter C, food colorings, or letter D, food flavorings? Let's proceed to number 2. Blank is a substance or a chemical that is added to products such as food products, beverages, to prevent decomposition by microbial growth of bacteria and fungi or by undesirable chemical changes. Again, let me repeat. Blank is a substance or a chemical that is added to products such as food products or beverages to prevent decomposition by microbial growth like bacteria and fungi or by desirable or undesirable chemical changes. Is it letter A, food additives, letter B, food preservatives, letter C, food colorings, or letter D, food flavorings? Again, write your answer in your yellow book. For number 3, which of the following is an example of a chemical preservatives? Is it letter A, citric acid, letter B, sugar, letter C, salt, or letter D, sulfur dioxide? Again, which of the following is an example of a chemical preservative? Is it letter A, citric acid, letter B, sugar, letter C, salt, or letter D, sulfur dioxide? Now for number 4, we have their directions, true or false. What I want you to do is to write T if the statement is true and write F if the statement is false. Write your answer before the number. Again, I don't want to see there the word true or the word false. I only want to see letter T and letter F. So for number 1, we have there, reproductive system of a human body is a group of organs that work together to break down food and to remove undigested food. Again, reproductive system of a human body is a group of organs that work together to break down food and to remove undigested food. Is it true or is it false? Number 5, the small intestine is divided into 3 parts, namely duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Again, the small intestine is divided into 3 parts, namely duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Is it true or is it false? Now, we have here for number 6, 7, and 8 for the directions. Identify and label the parts of the digestive system. Okay? So, for number 6, number 7, and number 8, answer this one. What is number 6? What is number 7? And what is number 8? Okay? Just write in there the organ. You don't need to draw the whole digestive system. Okay? And for number 9 to 10, we have there the directions, enumeration. Give what is us. Give 2 ways we can do to keep our digestive system healthy. Again, give 2 ways in order to keep our digestive system healthy. So remember that we've discussed 4 ways in order to keep our digestive system healthy. I only ask you to give 2, okay? And write it on your yellow book. Now, let's have a recap of the things that we've learned in the day, okay? Or for today. So we've discussed about digestion. Now, what about digestion? The first part of this video, we discussed about food additives. Food additives is added to food to enhance or to give color to the different foods. Under food additives, we have their food colorings, food flavorings, and food preservatives. When we say food colorings, again, this is added to cakes, icings, candies, and juices to give it its vibrant color and to make it more appealing. When we say food flavorings, these are used to enhance the flavor of food. And when we say food preservatives, these are used to prolong the shelf life of food. Under food preservatives, we have there the 2 types of food preservatives. We have the natural and the chemical. Under natural, we have there your salt, sugar, and citric acid from different citrus fruits. And under the chemical, this includes your sulfur dioxide and your nitrates and nitrites, okay? Now, in the second part of this video, we discussed about the digestive system. Under digestive system, we discussed the 10 organs. The first one is the mouth. The second one is the esophagus. The third one is the stomach. The fourth one is the liver. The fifth one is the gallbladder. The sixth one is the pancreas. The seventh is the small intestine. Eighth is the large intestine. The ninth is the rectum. And the 10th is the anus. And for the third part of this video, we'll discuss how do we keep our digestive system healthy. And in order for us to keep our digestive system healthy, we said that we should wash our hands, cook our food fully, chew our foods more, and lastly, to exercise regularly. And now for your homework, what I want you to do is grab your Inside Out workbook and answer activity for our digestive system, which can be found on page 5. Again, for your homework, grab your Inside Out workbook and answer activity 4, which is about our digestive system. You can find it on page 5. Now, for additional information about our topic, watch the YouTube link down below. Okay? Now, that concludes our discussion about Chapter 1, Nutrition and Digestion. I hope that you've learned a lot in today's video. Again, don't forget to do your yellow book and your workbook, and we will check it all together during our Zoom meeting. Again, this has been Teacher Leila for Closer Start School's online class, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!